First and foremost, why WWE decided to pursue a longer, I guess you can
What's
say.
going on, WWE fans? You're watching The Ring Report, where the wrestling never stops. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's break it down. There comes a point where fans stop pretending everything is perfect and start calling out what feels undeniably wrong. And that moment has arrived for those watching Randy Orton's current run unfold. For nearly 2 years now, Orton, a performer who clawed his way back from an injury that doctors genuinely believed could end his career, has returned only to be placed in a series of matches and storylines that simply do not reflect the weight of his legacy. When Orton walked back into WWE at Survivor Series in November 2023, the reaction was so thunderous it felt like the walls were shaking. It was one of the loudest returns in modern WWE history, a moment that showed how much fans missed him, respected him, and wanted to see him back on top. And after overcoming a spinal fusion surgery, after rebuilding his strength, and proving his body could still handle the grind, the expectation was simple. Randy Orton would be used as the superstar he is. Instead, week by week, it has become painfully clear that he has been drifting sidelined and slowly losing the momentum that should have carried him into the final glorious chapter of his legendary career. The wasted potential of his post-return feuds. When Orton first reappeared on SmackDown in late 2023, his revenge-driven storyline against Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso was exactly what fans hoped for. It made sense emotionally and creatively, especially considering how their attack had written him off television in the first place. Orton won those matches, re-established his presence, and seemed positioned for something meaningful. Instead, he was tossed into a fatal four-way at Royal Rumble 2024 for the undisputed Universal Championship, a match he was never going to win. After that, he entered the Elimination Chamber in Perth, only to be the final man eliminated by Drew McIntyre. Close again, but ultimately another loss. Then came the King of the Ring tournament, where Orton reached the finals against Gunther in a match clouded by controversy, thanks to his shoulder not fully being on the mat during the pin. That controversy should have been the spark of a major story, a moment that built toward redemption. And it did, briefly, when Orton received a rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship at Bash in Berlin that summer. But even then, after all the build-up, Orton lost clean. Nothing came from it. No continuation, no payoff. Just another missed opportunity in a growing list of them. A legend, with no momentum. Despite endless opportunities, Randy Orton is a 14-time world champion and one of the most naturally gifted performers the company has ever produced. He should be heading into his final years with purpose, structure, and significance. Instead, his booking reads like a collection of almosts and not this time moments. Since returning, Orton has been placed in 5 major championship-related opportunities: Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, King of the Ring 2024, Bash in Berlin, and then King of the Ring again in 2025, where he lost to Cody Rhodes at Night of Champions. 5 chances, 5 losses, 0 meaningful advancement in his story. Fans don't expect him to win every match, but they do expect progress, especially for someone whose legacy stands alongside Cena, Triple H, and other all-time greats. The frustrating part is that none of these losses have elevated the opponents involved. Cody was already the undisputed top babyface. Gunther was already being built as a powerhouse. Beating Orton did nothing for them, and losing did nothing for Orton except make him look like someone who simply cannot win the big one anymore. And that perception, even if unintentional, is becoming harder to ignore. The Kevin Owens feud, that never paid off. Perhaps the biggest disappointment in Orton's recent run is the Kevin Owens storyline. Their history together, fighting side by side against the Bloodline for months, set up a natural, emotionally loaded rivalry. Owens' turn on Cody Rhodes created the perfect opportunity for Orton to step in and defend his friend, which led to one of the most intense segments of 2024, when Owens attacked Orton in the parking lot. Triple H refusing to sanction their match at Crown Jewel added a layer of tension. Orton's confrontation with Triple H felt raw and personal, tying in nearly 2 decades of shared history from their Evolution days. It was a compelling story that set the stage for something monumental. But when Crown Jewel arrived, the match never officially started. They brawled around the arena, the bell never rang, and the angle ended in a no contest. That would have been fine if it led to something bigger, except a week later, Owens delivered a banned move, the pile driver, to injure Orton and write him off TV again. By the time Orton returned to attack Owens at Elimination Chamber 2025, the story felt scattered, and the final blow came when Owens suffered a real injury that canceled their WrestleMania showdown. Instead of an epic blood feud, Orton faced Joe Hendry in a match that didn't matter. A storyline that could have defined his comeback became yet another dead end. Why protecting Orton doesn't mean using him less. Some fans defend this booking by saying Triple H is protecting Orton's health due to his age and injury history. But protection doesn't mean sidelining a star. It means using him intentionally. Roman Reigns works fewer dates than almost anyone, yet every appearance feels monumental because the booking ensures it. John Cena returned for his final run and was immediately placed in high-profile programs, even capturing the Intercontinental Championship to complete the Grand Slam. CM Punk walked back through the curtain after a decade and instantly found himself in main events. Meanwhile, Orton, who is just as decorated and just as respected, shows up and gets slotted into mid-card stories, losing matches that neither elevate his opponents nor benefit his arc. If the company is truly preserving his longevity, then the solution should be to treat him like a special attraction, not a filler spot. Voices from inside and outside WWE are speaking up. The criticism isn't just coming from fans. Ric Flair, one of the most iconic wrestlers in history, and someone who has known Orton since his earliest days in Evolution, openly questioned WWE's handling of him in a 2025 interview. Flair praised Orton's timing and in-ring skill, calling him one of the best to ever do it, and then directly asked why someone of Orton's caliber wasn't being used in more prominent storylines. Even more revealing was the comment made by Orton's wife, Kim, on Instagram. When a fan pointed out that WWE had repeatedly left Orton out of major events, even anniversary specials and milestone broadcasts, Kim responded by saying the criticism wasn't wrong. When your own family starts echoing the frustrations of the fan base, it becomes clear the issue is deeper than just creative direction or long-term planning. It suggests a disconnect between the performer's value and the company's treatment. The tragedy of untapped potential in Orton's final years. Randy Orton hasn't held a singles championship in front of a live audience since 2018, and despite being one of the youngest world champions in history and one of the company's most reliable performers, he has not received a meaningful title run in more than a decade. Fans aren't asking for Orton to beat every young star or to derail the rise of new talent. They're asking for respect. They're asking for the company to recognize the once-in-a-generation performer they still have. Someone who can draw, someone who can tell stories through silence, someone who can make an entire arena hold its breath with nothing but a stare. If WWE wants to give Randy Orton one last championship run before he retires, the time is now. Not 2 years from now, not after more missed opportunities. Now, while he's healthy, while the fans are behind him, while the moment still means something, otherwise this era will be remembered not as the triumphant final act of a legend, but as the chapter where WWE simply let Randy Orton fade quietly into the background. And that is something neither the fans nor the legacy of Randy Orton deserve.